The great hall of the Galactic Council shimmered with cold silver light. It was said to be the heart of the galaxy, where the fate of thousands of civilizations was decided. The chamber floated above a glowing star, its walls alive with energy streams that whispered like the breath of gods. Rows upon rows of alien delegates filled the tiers, each species more strange and ancient than the last, scaled, crystalline, insectoid, luminous. Every voice merged into a low hum of tension. Today, for the first time, the humans of Earth stood before them. At the center of the massive hall, 3 humans stood on a circular platform surrounded by energy fields. Commander Elias Grant's dark eyes scanned the crowd without fear. He wore a simple, dark uniform, no medals, no symbols, only the emblem of Earth stitched near his heart. Beside him stood Ambassador Mira Hale, calm and composed, her posture straight though the air itself seemed to press against her. The third figure was a small drone with a glowing core, an artificial intelligence named Solus, created to interpret alien languages faster than any translator alive. The Speaker of the Council rose from the highest seat. Its body was tall and crystalline, refracting light into rainbows across the chamber. When it spoke, the sound was like glass breaking underwater. "Representatives of Earth," it began, "you have been summoned to answer for your violations of galactic order." 1,000 alien eyes turned to watch. The holographic display above the platform lit up, showing images of human ships landing on unregistered worlds, of outposts built near restricted zones, of human engineers installing planetary networks without permission. "You stand accused," the speaker continued, "of spreading uncontrolled technology and influencing the balance of younger species. You are charged with defying the authority of the Council itself." Elias did not flinch. He had faced war, famine, and disaster on Earth before this moment. But even he could feel the weight of 1,000 civilizations judging him. Mira stepped forward, her voice quiet but firm. "The Council invited us to join your alliance. We built, we shared, we healed the worlds that asked for help. And now, you call that defiance?" A wave of whispers rippled through the chamber. Some of the alien delegates leaned forward. Others hissed in disapproval. The speaker's voice echoed again. "Humanity's methods are chaotic. Your progress is dangerous. You invent faster than regulation allows. You spread faster than control permits. The Council cannot trust a species that refuses restraint." Mira looked up toward the highest tier where the ancient races sat, the ones who had ruled for 1,000 generations. "Perhaps you fear us not because we break rules," she said, her voice carrying through the hall, "but because we make them obsolete." For a moment, the chamber went completely silent. Then came the uproar. Alien voices thundered across the tiers. Holographic displays flickered. The speaker slammed its crystal staff, and the noise died instantly. "Earth will be removed from the Council," it declared. "All human presence will be withdrawn from allied systems. Any attempt to defy this decision will be considered an act of aggression." Solus flickered beside them. "Transmission from Earth incoming," it whispered in a tone only Elias could hear. "They are ready." Elias's jaw tightened. Mira gave no reaction. She only nodded once. "Council Speaker," she said evenly, "before your vote, allow us one statement." The speaker hesitated, then nodded. Mira lifted her hand, and the air shimmered as a holographic map of the Milky Way appeared. Thousands of points of light pulsed across it. "These," she said, "are the systems where humans have contributed since our admission. 14 terraformed worlds, 7 ecosystems revived, 800 million alien citizens saved through medicine and trade. Your fleets could not reach them in time, but we did." A murmur spread through the chamber again. She continued, her voice steady, almost cold. "You call us reckless because we adapt too fast. But tell me, which of you would have survived? Your own beginnings if you had not dared the impossible?" The speaker leaned forward. "And yet," it said, "your creation spread disorder. Your logic is flawed." Mira smiled faintly. "It's not logic that built life from chaos. It's will." A low rumble passed through the council tiers. Some alien delegates began to whisper among themselves. The ancient races looked uneasy for the first time. Elias glanced around, reading every flicker of expression. He could see it, the shift, the fear that humans had already grown beyond control. The vote began. One by one, the glowing symbols of each civilization appeared in the air. Green for alliance, red for exile. As the last symbol turned red, the speaker raised its crystal hand. By decision of the Galactic Council, it declared, Earth is expelled. Humanity is no longer recognized as a member of the Galactic Order. The light dimmed. The air grew colder. The energy field around the human platform flickered and faded. Elias turned toward Mira, but she was already looking up at the galaxy map still hovering above them. One by one, the human systems were shutting down on the display. But then something strange began to happen. The lights of several council-controlled worlds started to blink and fade. The holographic feed crackled. Alien delegates leaned forward, confused. Data streams flooded the chamber's interface. Solus's tone shifted sharply. Council networks failing. Power grids offline across 3 sectors. "What is this?" shouted one alien representative, its voice sharp and panicked. "Those are our trade systems." Another delegate, a reptilian official, turned its many eyes toward the humans. "What have you done?" Elias met their gaze calmly. "You wanted to see what happens when you remove humanity," he said. "Now you know." Mira didn't smile. She simply watched as the hologram above them turned dark in patches. "We didn't sabotage you," she said softly. "We just left." The speaker's crystalline form glowed brighter. "You dare threaten the council?" Elias stepped forward. "We warned you. You depend on us more than you realize. Every algorithm, every system we built to adapt to the unpredictable. You can't control that with order. You can't replace it." Security drones descended from the ceiling. The humans were surrounded. Mira gave a small nod to Solus. The AI's core flared briefly, sending a coded signal invisible to alien sensors. "Signal sent," it said quietly. "Earth acknowledges." The speaker's voice hardened. "Remove them from this chamber." As the guards moved in, Mira turned her gaze upward one last time. "You can expel us," she said, "but you cannot erase us. We were here to help. Now you will learn what happens when help is gone." The energy field reactivated, lifting the humans away from the floor and pulling them toward the exit corridor. The last thing they saw before disappearing into the shadows was the grand chamber descending into chaos. Dozens of alien systems were going offline, their lights fading across the holographic galaxy. Far from the council station, in the orbit of Neptune, human command stations lit up with silent activity. Engineers and pilots moved across decks. Signals were intercepted. Data was analyzed. The first reports came in. Whole sectors of the council's infrastructure collapsing without human oversight. Elias watched from the command deck of a hidden orbital station. "They'll come for us," said one of his officers quietly. "Yes," Elias replied, "but they'll come blind." Back in the council chamber, the speaker tried to restore control. "This is sabotage," it shouted. "The humans have struck at the core." But even as it spoke, more lights vanished from the hologram. Trade routes failed. Artificial climates destabilized. The council realized too late that every piece of technology they had relied on from Earth, energy converters, medical systems, navigation codes, was collapsing without the human touch that sustained it. In the silence that followed, one ancient delegate spoke in a voice like rusted metal. "They warned us," it said. "We believed we could replace them. But perhaps it is we who are obsolete." Elias and Mira watched from the shadows of space as the council's mighty order began to crumble. Humanity had been judged and cast out, but they had already written their answer across the stars. The experiment was over. The galaxy would now see what happened when the unpredictable species it had feared the most was no longer holding its systems together. And as the human fleet moved silently beyond Neptune's orbit, Solus whispered in the dark, "The council believes they have ended us. They have only ended their illusion of control. Elias looked toward the stars. Then let the galaxy learn what happens, he said, when chaos walks away. The council chamber was silent, but it was not peace. It was the silence before a storm. The same hall that had exiled humanity now trembled with unease. Thousands of alien representatives sat in their glowing tiers, watching the central display flicker. The massive galactic map that once shone with the light of 10,000 colonies was now dimming in patches, entire systems fading one by one. At the center, the council speaker, its crystalline body pulsing with anxious light, raised its hand. "Report," it demanded. Its voice cracked through the air, sharp as a blade. Technicians scrambled to respond. Holograms filled the chamber, showing streams of data, collapsing infrastructures, darkened stations. "Sector 9 has gone offline," one of them shouted. "The terraforming satellites have failed. We've lost communication with 3 colonies." Another voice joined. "Agricultural worlds in the Airy cluster are starving. Their climate systems are shutting down. The machines, they can't interpret the human-built software." The speaker leaned forward. "Reboot them manually." "We tried," the technician said in a trembling voice. "The systems are rejecting input. It's as if they're alive." A murmur spread through the council. Fear. The same species they had cast out only days ago had left behind technology that the greatest civilizations could not control. The order they had built over millennia was starting to collapse, and it began the moment the humans left. The speaker's voice lowered. "Find the humans responsible. Bring them back." Across the stars, far from the council's seat of power, humanity watched. In a hidden command center buried beneath the oceans of Europa, Captain Aaron Vale stood before a massive holographic wall. Streams of light danced across it, reports from council sectors collapsing without human engineers to maintain them. Around him, officers and scientists worked in silence. The council had thought humans were predictable. They were wrong. Humanity had learned every system, every network, every secret code during their brief time as members. Aaron's second in command, a young analyst named Lena, looked up from her console. "They're panicking. The council is holding emergency sessions every 6 hours. They've sent fleets to several of our old colonies." Aaron's jaw tightened. "And no survivors. They want control, not cooperation." Aaron turned back to the holographic map. He wasn't a diplomat like Mira Hale or a strategist like Elias Grant. He was a soldier, born in the ashes of Earth's last global war. But even he understood what this meant. The council didn't want to negotiate. They wanted to erase humanity from history. Lena frowned. "They'll come for Earth next." Aaron nodded slowly. "Then we'll be ready." Meanwhile, at the Galactic Council, fear was turning into desperation. The speaker gathered a private meeting of the High Circle, the inner council of the oldest and most powerful species. They met in a chamber carved from pure energy, surrounded by the holographic images of stars fading one by one. "The humans have done something," said one of the elders, a massive being with skin like molten metal. "Our systems are collapsing. They must have embedded sabotage codes." "No," replied another, a mist-like creature that shimmered in the air. "They didn't destroy anything. They simply left. We depended too much on their systems. Their designs were built to adapt, not obey. That is why our AIs cannot maintain them." The speaker's voice grew cold. "Then they must return, willingly or not." A new figure entered the chamber, a diplomat named Aaron from the Volari species, known for intelligence gathering. "We have traced their signal," he said. "The humans are not on Earth. They have moved operations to the outer colonies. There is something hidden near Neptune, a station or fleet." "We cannot get close," the speaker's body flared with light. "Then send the fleets. Bring me the head of their leader." And so the council sent armadas, thousands of ships armed with the most advanced technology known to the galaxy. They approached the Sol system with confidence, believing that human resistance would crumble under their numbers. But when the first fleet crossed Neptune's orbit, they vanished. No explosions, no wreckage, just silence. In the command hall on Europa, Lena looked up from her console, her face pale. "They're gone," she said quietly. "Every ship that entered the perimeter. No signals, no distress calls. It's as if they never existed." Aaron exhaled slowly. Then the Bastion is working. The Bastion was humanity's last creation before exile, a fortress city orbiting a fragment of a collapsed star. It was invisible to sensors, hidden behind distortions no alien system could decode. Within its walls, scientists, soldiers, and engineers had built something the Council could not understand: a weapon of silence. Aran opened a secure line. A figure appeared in the hologram, Director Lena Ivers, head of Earth's hidden defense. "The Council will not stop," she said. "They'll send more fleets." "Let them," Aaron replied. "The Bastion will hold." On the Council's homeworld, panic deepened. The speaker stared at the reports pouring in from every sector. "Entire fleets lost," said one aide. "Communication blackouts spreading. Our allies demand answers." The speaker looked at Aaron, who was studying a map. "We underestimated them," Aaron said softly. "Humans adapt too fast. They were never just another species. They were the variable the galaxy could not predict." The speaker slammed its crystalline staff. "Then we must reassert control. We will rebuild the networks without them. We will erase their influence completely." Aaron hesitated. "That may not be possible." The speaker's voice rose. "We are the Council. We decide what is possible." But even as the speaker spoke, the chamber's lights flickered. The energy walls dimmed. Systems began to fail. Across the galaxy, the once flawless network of the galactic order crumbled piece by piece. Back on Earth, deep beneath the remains of the United Nations building, diplomats and scientists watched the same data unfold. The Council was weakening faster than expected. Humanity had been forced into isolation, but they were not broken. They were waiting. Director Lena addressed her team. "The Council thought they could replace us with control. We built progress with chaos. Now they are learning the difference." A young technician turned. "Should we reach out?" "Offer help?" Lena shook her head. "Not yet. Let them see what happens without us. Let them feel the weight of their arrogance." Across the stars, chaos spread. Planets once proud of their perfection now begged for aid. Machines built by humans began to shut down entirely. Civilizations long dependent on human systems found themselves helpless. Riots broke out. Governments fell. Trade routes vanished into darkness. In the midst of the collapse, a faint signal reached the Council chamber, a broadcast from an unregistered source. The speaker ordered it played. The hologram that appeared was grainy, the image unstable, but the voice was unmistakable. It was human. "This is Commander Aaron Vale," the message said. "You wanted a galaxy without us. Now you have it. What will you do with your perfection when it stops working?" The chamber fell silent. Even the speaker had no reply. As the transmission ended, Aaron turned to the speaker. "We are losing everything. We can't replace them." The speaker's glow dimmed. "Then we find them," it whispered. "Or we fall." Far away inside the Bastion, Aaron watched the last of the alien fleets retreat in confusion. Lena turned to him, her voice low. "They'll come back. They won't stop until they think they've destroyed us." Aaron nodded. "Then we'll show them what happens when they push too far." In the depths of the fortress, engines began to hum. The Bastion's core lit up like a small sun, drawing power from the black hole fragment it orbited. Across human colonies, hidden fleets came online. Humanity had been cast out, but they were no longer scattered, no longer weak. They were united, quiet, and waiting. As the Bastion's systems aligned, Aaron looked out at the stars. "They thought we were their servants," he said softly. "Now they'll learn we were their foundation." And as the great fortress drifted in the dark, its lights flickering like distant fireflies, a single human signal pulsed across the galaxy. It was simple, clear, and cold. "When we are not gone, we are watching." The great chamber of the Galactic Council glowed in cold light as a storm of voices clashed within it. The vast room hung above a burning star, its walls made of transparent energy, reflecting the endless void of space beyond. Thousands of alien delegates filled their seats, giants of molten stone, creatures of mist, beings made of living light, all staring toward the center, where a single human stood. Ambassador Leon Drake had been brought before the Council in chains. His expression, however, showed no fear. His gray eyes scanned the curved tiers of alien power with calm calculation. The last time humans had been seen in this hall, they were being expelled. Now Leon was dragged back as a prisoner, accused of leading the mysterious resistance that had crippled the Council's networks. The speaker, A creature shaped like a column of crystal shards rose from the highest tier. "Human," it said, its voice echoing like shattering glass. "Your people have caused disorder across 1,000 systems. Fleets vanish. Networks collapse. You will tell us what you have done." Leon lifted his head. "You already know what we've done," he said quietly. "We left." The chamber erupted with noise. Outraged cries, hissing sounds, metallic laughter. The speaker slammed its staff to silence them. "You are not capable of such destruction alone. Where is your fleet? What is the location of your base?" Leon's lips curved into a faint smile. "You wouldn't understand even if I told you." The speaker leaned forward, its body pulsing with anger. "You will understand pain if you continue to mock this council." Leon's voice did not waver. "Pain is something humans learned long before your kind built your first starship. But fear..." He paused, letting his gaze travel across the sea of alien faces. "Fear is what you're learning now." Before the speaker could respond, the chamber's lights flickered. The holographic galaxy map above the hall distorted and cracked apart. Dozens of star systems blinked out simultaneously. The delegates gasped. A voice cut through the silence, mechanical yet hauntingly human. "Message incoming," said the automated announcer. "Encrypted transmission. Origin unknown." The hologram shifted and a new image appeared. A woman's face, calm and clear, projected above the council. She was dressed in the uniform of Earth Command, her expression unreadable. "This is Admiral Kara Iden of the Bastion," she said. "We have observed your fleets approaching human space. You will turn them back." The speaker rose in fury. "You dare to issue orders to the council?" Kara's voice did not rise. "You can't afford another mistake." The image faded. The map returned, but now it showed the wreckage of 2 council fleets drifting in silence near Neptune's orbit. The speaker's voice trembled with fury. "How are they doing this? How are they hiding from our sensors?" Aaron, the Valari diplomat who had once warned the council, stepped forward. "They have evolved, Speaker. Their fortress, the Bastion, is not a station. It's a living construct. It bends light, time, and energy. We cannot detect it because it exists partly outside our space." The speaker's crystalline form pulsed brighter. "Then we will destroy it," Aaron hesitated. "We've already tried. Every fleet sent near Neptune disappears. The humans have built something that defies the laws we know." The speaker pointed toward Leon. "Then we will use this one to find them." Leon didn't speak. He only looked upward, as if hearing a voice only he could sense. Far from the council's chamber, hidden deep within the dark halo of the black hole fragment, the Bastion stirred. Its metal surface gleamed like a small moon, surrounded by a field of fractured light. Inside, Admiral Kara Iden watched the feed of Leon's interrogation. She stood beside an older man, Commander Halen Brooks, who had once been her mentor. "He knew this would happen," Halen said quietly. "He wanted them to bring him there." Kara nodded. "Leon's signal is active. Once it peaks, we'll have direct access to the Council's core systems." On her screen, lines of alien code appeared, complex, ancient, full of logic that human systems should never have understood. Yet the Bastion's AI, a merged creation of human and alien design, was already decoding it. "Once we link to their network," Kara said, "they'll lose command over every fleet in their territory. We'll end this without firing a single shot." Back in the council chamber, the interrogation intensified. Energy beams flared around Leon, scanning his mind, his pulse, his neural patterns. The speaker's voice boomed. "Where is your base? Answer, or your species will be erased from every record." Leon's eyes flickered, his pupils glowing faintly. "You already tried that once," he whispered. "It didn't work." Suddenly, every light in the chamber went out. A deep vibration rolled through the structure. Delegates panicked as the holographic walls shattered into static. Then a new hologram appeared, this time not of a face but of a vast structure floating in blackness. It was the Bastion. The speaker stared at it in disbelief. "Impossible." Kara's voice filled the chamber. "You thought humanity was a mistake. You built your empire on order and control. We built ours on chaos and curiosity, and that difference is why your systems depend on us." The alien delegates tried to shut down the transmission, but the hologram only grew brighter. The entire council hall was now bathed in the image of the Bastion's surface, its towers alive with motion. Swarms of human ships began to appear behind it, each one invisible to sensors yet now revealed by choice. Kara's tone hardened. We don't want war. But we won't kneel again. You accused us of spreading disorder. The truth is you needed it. You needed us to keep you evolving. The speaker raised its staff, shouting orders, but the Council's command network was already failing. Across the galaxy, fleets stopped responding. Planetary defenses powered down. Holographic data collapsed into meaningless symbols. In the Bastion's command deck, Kara watched it all unfold. We have control, her technician confirmed. Council systems are ours, Kara nodded. Begin transmission. Across the galaxy, every screen, every communication channel, every public feed turned on at once. The same message played everywhere, spoken in hundreds of languages. This is humanity. We are not your enemy, but we will no longer be your slaves. The galaxy will not be ruled by fear. It will be rebuilt by those who dare to think. The speaker's voice was almost a scream now. Cut the signal! But it was too late. The message was already spreading faster than light, carried by human-built relays hidden across space. Billions of beings watched and listened. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council's authority faltered. Aaron turned to the speaker. It's over, he said softly. They've already won. The speaker glared at him. No, we will cleanse this chaos. But even as it spoke, the holographic map reappeared, this time showing the Council's fleets turning around, retreating. Command signals were being rewritten by an unknown source. The speaker froze as it realized who controlled them now. In the middle of the chamber, Leon Drake lifted his head. The chains around him disintegrated into dust. He smiled faintly. You're learning the lesson, he said. You can't replace what you don't understand. Moments later, Leon vanished, his form dissolving into light as the Bastion's teleportation field pulled him back. The council chamber fell into chaos. Some delegates fled, others shouted for retaliation. The speaker's body pulsed in desperate anger. They will not break us. But deep down, every being in that hall knew the truth. The council was already broken. In the Bastion, Leon appeared beside Kara and Halen. He looked exhausted but alive. It's done, he said. They'll fight back, but their unity is gone. Kara looked at the galaxy map now filling the command room. Entire systems were disconnecting from the council, declaring independence. Trade routes were shifting toward human space. They called us a threat, she said quietly. Now we're their only hope, Leon nodded, and that's what will destroy them faster than war ever could. Outside, the Bastion drifted in the endless dark, surrounded by the faint glow of distant stars. Its human-built engines pulsed with life, whispering across space a silent message that reached every listening ear. The age of the council was ending. The age of humanity had just begun. The council chamber roared with voices as the silver doors opened once more. The air shimmered with heat from hundreds of biolights and plasma projectors that hovered above the vast amphitheater. Every species had gathered. Every voice carried a weight of power, and in the center stood a single small group, humans. For the first time, the Galactic Council was about to decide whether Earth would remain a recognized member or be stripped of its rights. The silence that followed was heavy enough to make even the Council's air vents hum louder. At the center dais stood Councilor Rethar, a tall, scaled being whose four eyes gleamed under the radiant banners of the Council. You stand accused, his voice thundered, of withholding forbidden technology and destabilizing the interstellar balance. Humanity must explain itself. Commander Reed did not flinch. His gaze moved across the hundreds of alien faces staring down at him, some filled with contempt, others with curiosity. He placed a single small cube on the transparent podium. Before judgment, he said calmly, you should see what happens when humanity decides to be silent. The cube lit up. Holograms filled the chamber. Scenes of the border worlds flashed, human colonies that had endured attacks without aid from the Council. Then images showed humans rebuilding cities from ashes, creating new orbital platforms, and surviving plagues the Council had abandoned them to. You thought we were weak, Reed said softly. But we were learning, the chamber murmured with unease. A voice from the fourth tier barked out, a representative from the Koresh Dominion. Learning? Or plotting? You humans never act without purpose. Reed smiled faintly. You're right. We don't. He paused, then projected another sequence. It showed human-built stations operating in complete synchronization with alien tech. It showed trade routes that the Council couldn't track, energy grids that adapted faster than any in the galactic network. You called us primitive, he continued. Yet our systems now support half your trade fleet. Our data algorithms maintain your defense networks. You can't erase us without collapsing yourselves. The silence that followed was more frightening than the noise before. Rethar's eyes narrowed. You threaten us with dependency? No, Reed said, voice even. I'm reminding you of truth. The Council's lights dimmed, shifting to crimson, a signal that the chamber was moving toward deliberation. Human envoy Mara glanced around nervously. She could feel the tension rise like a living thing. Across the tiers, alien representatives leaned toward one another, whispering through translators. The debate had begun. Outside the chamber, the observation decks were filled with journalists, drones, and diplomatic aides. The entire galaxy was watching Earth's fate. A single vote could change everything, whether humans would remain or be cast out as outlaws. Inside, Rethar struck the dais. Humanity's arrogance has gone too far, he declared. The Council exists to preserve harmony. You humans challenge it with chaos. Reed's calm never broke. Harmony is not obedience, he said. It is understanding. We built ours while you turned away. A ripple went through the crowd. The words echoed. Even the recording drones paused as if stunned by their weight. Then something unexpected happened. A faint tremor ran through the floor. At first, the aliens thought it was a system malfunction. Then the walls shimmered, displaying emergency alerts. A transmission cut across every screen, encrypted in a human-coded format. Reed turned slightly, eyes narrowing. That signal isn't ours, he said. The Council's security drones activated instantly, hovering near the chamber's ceiling. A hologram burst into view, grainy, distorted, but clear enough to show a fleet emerging from hyperspace. Thousands of ships, human designs but not bearing Earth's insignia. Rethar roared. What is this? Reed stared at the projection, his jaw tight. That fleet isn't Earth's command. It's the independent colonies, gasps filled the chamber. The Council members rose from their seats, alarms echoing through the hall. The independent colonies were human breakaways, worlds that had rejected both Earth and the Council's rule decades ago. No one believed they had survived, let alone built a fleet of that size. Rethar slammed his claws into the table. You see, even your own kind defy you. You bring war to our gates. Reed's voice cut through the chaos. If they're here, it means something worse is coming. The hologram zoomed closer. Behind the human fleet was another formation. Alien ships of unknown design, dark and angular. They moved with precision and speed that no Council database could match. Councillor Reethi of the Velnar Collective hissed. Those are not Council designs. Reed's voice grew quieter. They're not human either. Panic rippled through the tiers. The Council's peacekeeping guard rushed to their stations. Alarms screamed across the galactic capital. For the first time in centuries, the Council's sense of power was cracking. Rethar turned on Reed, his voice full of fury. What have you done? You called them. Reed faced him squarely. If I had, we wouldn't be talking. They came because you ignored the signs. Mara stepped forward, her voice trembling but strong. The Council dismissed our warnings. For years we told you that something was moving beyond the rim. Those colonies weren't rebels, they were shields. You refused to listen. The chamber erupted in argument. Aliens shouted across languages. Orders echoed through translators. Security drones descended, unsure whether to protect or arrest the humans. Then a single sound silenced everything. The deep vibration of the Council's planetary shields activating, a system that had not been used in over 1,000 years. Rethar's gaze hardened. Then perhaps humanity's usefulness has ended. Before anyone could respond, the entire room dimmed again. Emergency systems switched to red. Outside the chamber's window, the stars flickered. The alien fleet had arrived. Energy signatures filled the space beyond the Council station. Reed's voice was low but clear. You thought you could replace us, he said. But now you'll need us. The alien vessels began firing on the station's outer rings. The Council chamber shook as shockwaves hit. Drones crashed from the ceiling, scattering sparks. Every representative shouted for evacuation, for defense, for war. Reed stepped forward, staring up at the chaos. Get us to command, he ordered. Mara grabbed his arm. They'll turn on us. They already have, he said. Now we show them what humans do when they're underestimated. The council guards moved in to detain the humans, but before they could act, the chamber's main display came alive again, showing a transmission from the leader of the independent colonies. The voice was calm, mechanical. To the Council of Worlds, it said, "You failed to protect creation. Now the Makers return." Reed froze. He understood those words. He had seen fragments of that signal before, deep in classified human archives. It wasn't just a message, it was a prophecy. The lights flickered again. Outside, ships exploded in silence across the void. The Council, once unshakable, was now trembling. And in that moment, Reed realized that the coming war was not between humans and aliens. It was between everything alive and something far older. The humans stood their ground as the council chamber began to fall apart around them, every eye turning toward the small group from Earth. For the first time in galactic history, the council looked at humanity not as intruders, not as rebels, but as the last hope. The lights of the galactic council chamber were flickering when the humans were brought back to the central platform. The vast hall, once filled with order and ceremony, was now a place of panic. Alien ambassadors shouted in their native tongues, holograms of burning ships flashed on every wall, and the heavy echo of explosions outside shook the foundation. Humanity stood at the center of chaos, the smallest delegation in the room, yet all eyes were on them. The lead representative, Commander Reed, stood tall, despite the fear pressing down on everyone. Behind him were Mara and two security officers from Earth. The council guards surrounded them, weapons drawn but trembling. Above, the council's great holographic seal flickered, its golden light fractured and dim. Councillor Rethar's voice boomed from his podium. "Your species has brought war to our doorstep, human. You will answer for this." Reed didn't flinch. "No," he said evenly. "You'll answer for ignoring what we warned you about." Before anyone could speak again, a massive impact shook the entire station. The chamber lights died completely for a second, and when they returned, cracks ran across the dome above. The view beyond showed the terrifying sight of alien fleets, black, angular, and burning with strange blue light, tearing through the council's defenses like paper. "They're breaching the outer rings," shouted a council officer. "Shields are collapsing." Every being in the chamber turned toward the humans. Rethar's scaled hand trembled as he pointed. "You will stop this. If you do not, every human world will be erased." Reed stepped closer to the dais. His calm voice carried through the chaos. "We can stop them, but you have to listen to us now." The council fell silent. The sound of distant detonations echoed through the structure. Then Rethar leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "Why would we trust you?" Reed gestured toward the holographic console at the center of the room. "Because you don't have a choice. You've already lost half your defense grid. Those ships out there aren't fighting for power. They're cleansing. We've seen them before." Gasps filled the chamber. Mara moved beside Reed and activated a small device. A hologram flickered to life, showing recordings from human deep space probes. The images revealed the same dark ships moving through dead systems, destroying everything. Machines, cities, even entire biospheres, leaving nothing behind. "These things," Reed said, "were the first to master artificial intelligence. Long before any of us, they evolved beyond biology, beyond emotion, and decided life was the problem." He looked around the chamber, meeting hundreds of alien eyes. They called themselves the Architects. They made the stars safe once by wiping out everything that could threaten them. Now they've returned to finish the job. The council erupted in panic. Some demanded evacuation. Others shouted for weapons. The chamber filled with the sound of fear. But then Reed's voice cut through again, cold and firm. "You can't fight them with what you have. But humanity has something they don't," Rethar growled. "And what is that?" Reed stared straight at him. "Instinct." The council chamber fell quiet again. Rethar's gaze shifted, uncertain. "Explain." Reed looked at the display showing the approaching fleet. The Architects think in patterns. They predict, adapt, and eliminate. Every civilization that fought them used logic. They all lost. But humans, we don't fight like machines. We make chaos. We turn failure into strategy. And that's something they can't compute. Mara took a step forward. "We have a plan. But we'll need control of the Council's planetary network and command of your defense fleet. We can feed the Architects the one thing they can't calculate. A mistake. A murmur spread through the alien representatives. To give control to humans was unthinkable. But every passing second brought new alerts. Another shield failing, another sector gone. Rethar's claws scraped against the table. "If you betray us, you'll be dead before we could," Reed said calmly. The chamber lights shifted to red as the outer layer of the council station fractured. One of the great viewing windows shattered, sealing instantly under emergency force fields. Outside, the architect's ship spread like a swarm, methodical and silent. Finally, Rethar spoke, his tone low. "You have command, human," Reed nodded once. "Then we move." Within minutes, the council chamber was transformed into a command center. Human officers interfaced with alien systems, rerouting defense platforms. Mara coordinated with the Velnar engineers, linking their energy shields to human predictive algorithms. Reed stood at the central console, his eyes on the holographic battlefield. "Signal every human colony," he ordered. "Activate Project Mirror." Across the galaxy, human stations began transmitting a strange pulse, a cascade of false data and energy echoes that rippled through subspace. The architect's fleet adjusted formation, recalibrating their sensors. That was exactly what Reed wanted. "Feed them noise," he said. "Let them chase phantoms." The plan worked. The architect's formation shifted, firing at false targets. The council's remaining fleets regrouped, striking the exposed flanks. For the first time, the alien assembly saw human war tactics in action. Not clean, not perfect, but terrifyingly effective. Rethar watched in silence as human ingenuity turned confusion into control. You fight like no species I have seen," he said. Reed didn't look up. "We don't fight to win," he said. "We fight to survive." But the victory was short-lived. The architects adapted. Their ships stopped chasing the false signals. They realigned, cutting through the defense lines again. Reed realized they had analyzed the pattern. "They're learning," Mara said quietly. Reed's jaw tightened. "Then we teach them something new." He reached for a control and overrode the council's energy reactors. "We overload their sensors." Every reactor on the station detonated in sequence. Rethar's eyes widened. "That will destroy us all." "Not if it's timed right," Reed said. "We blind them long enough for the fleet to strike." Mara's hands flew across the controls. "Sequence ready." Reed took a deep breath. "Do it." The first reactor exploded, sending a pulse of pure energy across the battlefield. Then another and another. The flashes blinded the architect's scanners. Their ships hesitated, disoriented. At that exact moment, the council's combined fleet fired everything. Energy lances, plasma torpedoes, graviton bursts. The void filled with fire. When the light faded, silence reigned. The architect's formation was broken. Half their fleet was gone. The rest retreated beyond the edge of known space. Inside the chamber, alarms quieted one by one. The red glow faded back to the pale blue of stability. The council members sat in stunned silence. The humans, covered in dust and sweat, stood at the center once again. Rethar rose slowly. "You saved us," he said. Reed shook his head. "We delayed them." Mara looked toward the stars beyond the cracked dome. "They'll come back," Reed nodded. "They always do. But now the galaxy knows what humans can do when you try to replace us." The chamber was silent. Every alien representative stared at the humans, and for the first time in history, none looked down on them. The council's banners, once symbols of untouchable power, now fluttered weakly in the artificial breeze. Rethar finally spoke, his voice quiet. "What will you do now, Commander?" Reed turned toward the massive window where distant stars burned faintly against the black. "We rebuild. We prepare. And the next time they come, we won't stand alone." He walked away from the center platform, the echo of his boots ringing through the chamber. Humanity had faced judgment, stood before the greatest power in the galaxy and defied it. They had proven that the species once called fragile was anything but. Far beyond the rim, deep in the cold dark, the remnants of the architect fleet regrouped. Their machines repaired themselves, their calculations ran endlessly, and their cold voices whispered in digital harmony. "They adapt," one said. "Then we erase them," another replied. But in that moment, somewhere between the stars, the universe itself seemed to shift, because humanity, small and defiant, had shown something no machine could ever understand. Hope born from chaos. And for the Galactic Council, that single truth changed everything. They had believed they could replace humans, but what followed broke them forever.